Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. It's always a little bit of a delay on Facebook when I hit the button. I don't quite know if it's working or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Frankie Finn proudly brings to you our weekly Q&A. That was not my best intro. Hey, by the way, I just want to give you guys a big salute to those of you guys who are in this world doing the agency stuff. I know it's not an easy business, and sometimes the hardest part of it are actually the clients themselves and the craziness of people. And you guys work so hard at like creating lives and doing things differently and building up businesses. And I just think, legitimately, I swear by this, you guys are the coolest people anywhere. And so I'm so honored whenever I find out you guys are listening to this. If you guys are interested, by the way, in joining the mastermind, I've got a video to send you. It's about 23 minutes long or something like that. So if you have interest and you just want me to send you the video, we don't have to like have a big long sales call or anything like that. But I'll send you a video, details, pricing, all that kind of thing, how long. But other than that, let's get into the Q and A. Sean, I'm booking 10 to 15 discovery calls a day with real estate agents. I'm in serious need of an appointment setter to help qualify these appointments. What do you suggest? Sean, I don't think it's a bad idea. By the way, those are good problems to have when you're booking 10 to 15 calls a day with real estate agents. My experience has taught me like that there's an 80-20 in there. And what I mean by that is probably 80% of your calls are not producing the sales, like 20% are. And almost always those 20% have something in common. And it's usually related to like their situation or how much traction they have already. And so I might take that offer and tighten it down just a little bit to intentionally push away the 60 or 80 or however many percentage of people that you're not booking calls with, and think more about quantity or quality instead of quantity. So I've had a situation as well. I actually remember when last year or 2 years ago, I had to do German school to live in Germany. And so I was like, I had a full-time gig, like 6-7 hours a day. I'm in school learning German. And when I'd come home, my head was just overwhelmed with learning a foreign language. And I remember I was booking calls like 8 hours at a time, like one after another, 8 consecutive calls, and my schedule being full. And it was just really, really intense. And I had to start thinking about like, how can I push people away that just aren't a fit? Or that, like, you know, because you end up getting on the call with some people and you spend an hour with them and nothing comes out of it. So my advice is just push those people away intentionally, and you'll find that you don't need to do nearly as many as calls if you start thinking about like who are your ideal people, and then make something that speaks to that. So, but I'm not saying adding an appointment center wouldn't help, but I'm saying tighten your offer and push away the wrong people, and then you can probably get away with like 3 calls a day, and then you can bring in somebody who knows how to close those, and you don't necessarily need to do the qualifying, but let your offer do the qualifying, or add in a step before they can book a call that adds in a little qualifying piece. Mitch, where does everyone find their VAs for building links, etc.? I mean, there's a couple places you can get them, Mitch. A lot of it, the success will come down to like your standard operating procedures, how you welcome them on board, not necessarily where you get them. But having said that, onlinejobs.ph is one of my favorite go-tos. There's a lot of little Facebook groups, like on Facebook ads and things like that, where virtual assistants will come join those groups. That's another one. Obviously, Upwork. Craigslist Manila is another one. It depends where you're trying to get them in the world, but those have been some of my biggest go-tos. But the biggest thing is when I first hired a bunch of VAs, they made my life harder, and I ended up doing a lot of quality control and fact checking. And so this time around, they make my life so much easier. I'm so blessed. And a big part of that, though, is I've made a container where it's easier for them, where they know what's expected of them. I have clear instructions, things like that. So a lot of success in VAs is going to come down to that. So I'm just going to tell you, make sure to include that as part of your finding VAs process. Brian, .com or .net? Is there a big difference ranking in 2021? Brian, it's not really. There's not really a big difference ranking. I mean, I don't do a ton with SEO, but I still stay up to date on it. But as far as I understand right now, it doesn't really make a difference to Google. But what it will make a difference is for real human beings, especially if you're branding and you're saying like the actual URL in person, like go to brianswebsite.com. It just doesn't have the same pull as .net or .org or .info or .whatever. So I'm still a big fan of, if you can, get a .com. For that reason, not for ranking, but for just like the ease of people remembering it and the branding effect you get from it. Reg, curious to know your thoughts on messenger marketing, especially using chatbots. So Reg, this is something that we talk a lot about in the mastermind in general. is every time a new tool comes out. So I saw this like 2 months ago. Clubhouse came out, and everybody's like, "Oh, you gotta get a fucking Clubhouse! It's the greatest, latest, fucking most amazing thing." And people are interested always in what's new and exciting. And for a while, that was like Messenger chatbots. And I think people think way too much about the tool in the Clubhouse and not enough about the person on the other side. Because I found like in our space, if I do something with lawyers, I can make it work on LinkedIn. I can make it work on Facebook. I can make it work with organic. I can make it work in cold outreach. I can make it work in-person networking. I can make it work with joint ventures and endorsed traffic. I can make it work with webinars. But that comes down to understanding the lawyer on the other side. So I think what people miss so much is like not understanding the human, like what they actually need on the other side. Having said that, if you understand the human and how they make decisions and how they move towards you, then automating that with a messenger chatbot is just going to make it work better. But a lot of times what people do is they just use it as a spam tool to like, I don't know, the same shitty things that don't work. Like, you know, if you write a really bad cold outreach message and then you just keep spamming it over messenger chat, it's not going to change its effectiveness. So, but having said that, if you have a working process, by all means, whip in some messenger chatbots. Most of the people I know that are rocking it with it swear by ManyChat. Don't use it personally, so I can't. I'm still banned on all my Facebook ad accounts, so Keith's looking into that for me, but we'll see. Dylan, I'm looking for someone to manage Google Ads for some of my clients. I run a branding agency. What's a good way to find out who is best for the job? What are some questions or metrics I could request so I know they actually know what they are talking about and will likely give and deliver good results? Dylan, firstly, I feel you, man. Like it's a big point where you bring on somebody to run ads for you, and then ultimately they're representing you and your brand. And it's kind of like it's a dangerous thing as your agency grows, where people can make you look really bad or just not have that quality and that standard. So the biggest thing, obviously, I would say there's like two things that are at the top of my list. One of those is obviously, can they produce results? That's like, you're not going to get around that one. They need to be able to deliver on those, you know, like be able to run ads if you're running ads in your case and make those ads convert and have a basic understanding of all those things. So the best way to find that out is really just to see what they're doing that's already converting in that space. Now, just because they've had success in the past doesn't guarantee that they'll succeed in the future. And just because they failed in the past doesn't mean or just because they don't have a track record, I should say, doesn't mean they're automatically horrible. But I like to ask them real questions about like, what would you do to make this campaign convert? And based on experience, you can often like tell. Like, I don't like to give them theoretical examples. Like, hey, here's my client, here's my situation. What would you do? So the best you can do it. And then that's the second thing is the other thing that not enough people talk about when hiring is your fit together. Like I've had people who are really good, but are kind of assholes. And I remember one time one of my mentors said, I don't tolerate brilliant assholes. So in my opinion, you shouldn't tolerate brilliant assholes either. So the best way to see if you fit together is just come up with a small little way you can feel each other out. Say, hey, like, why don't we run a couple of campaigns for this client, see how it goes. And if we like it, I've got, you know, a bigger door open. We can do a whole bunch of stuff together. But that's how you kind of want to start that situation. So those two things, though. Can they produce results? Are we going to work well together? Those are the things you're looking for. And the best way you can test for that is just to do it. So, Joel, can anybody help me understand why my campaign has over 4,000 clicks, but the remarketing audience only shows a size of 1,600? The time frame on the remarketing is 540 days, so it certainly covers the entire campaign so far. Joel, what you're noticing is probably less than half the people are getting added to your remarketing list. I assume you're doing AdWords because you called it remarketing and not retargeting. Really, really simple. There's two reasons. One is more than one a person can click your ad more than once, so they'll show up as a click 3, 4, or 5 times, but that's still only one person to be counted in your audience. And then the second reason, probably the bigger reason of the two, is just there's tracking issues with iOS 14 where people click and then decline. I don't want to be tracked, so it's just those kind of things. But having said that, those are actually pretty good numbers if you're getting almost half your people into your remarketing list and using it. That's the most important thing. Ashutosh, so I hope I'm saying your name right. What niches marketing agencies charge at least $3,000 a month or $100 a lead for lead gen services? Ashutosh, this is going to blow your mind a little bit, but within every niche, I've seen there's somebody somewhere charging at least $100 a lead, and a lot of times people say, "Oh, that's not possible in my niche." Like, they're just cheapskates. They would never do that. And you almost, rather than trying to think about what niches can get $100 a niche, like for example in personal injury niche, if I said I can get you a phone call for $100, people will pay for that all day long, like with very little pushback. But you want to think more about a niche within a niche. So I've talked about this before, but there's something I call the nickel and the $100 bill. And the nickel and the $100 bill is really, really simple, which is in every niche, there's a lot of stuff that's like mass market quantity available that I call the nickel. So to give you just like a simple example so you can wrap your head around it, in the dentist space, they make about $99 to $149 to bring in somebody for a checkup. But dentists have overhead. They got to pay for a building and staff. And so they don't really make any money on a checkup. They bring in somebody for $100. They pay out $100, and then the person is like, the dentist didn't even do anything, right? Like, so that's the nickel. But that same dentist also has like a set of veneers or implants, and he might charge $30,000 or $40,000 anywhere. You get from like 20 to 40 grand for a set of veneers. That's like the $100 bill. And so if you're going to generate leads, all things being equal, it's not any more work to generate standard checkups as it is to generate $100, the $35,000 veneers. So all things being equal, if you start generating $100 leads for people, then in every niche you're going to find there's $100. Where most people go wrong is they think, who has a niche where there's nickel clients that are already at $100, and that can work, but those are usually the most competitive ones. What you want to think about is whatever niche you're in, how can I specialize in the higher end stuff, and then you'll easily get $3K a month or $100 per lead, because it's there already in every niche. It's just most people don't see it. And I'll tell you, just from experience, I used to believe, oh, like certain niches are just way better than others, and then I started meeting friends in niches where I'd hear nobody makes any money, like woo woo and law of attraction and meditation. And then I'd have friends building 7-8 figure businesses, and they were doing it for CEOs, for example, like one of them, and they specialized in the $100 version of the law of attraction and the woo-woo. So there's always a $100 version that you can apply to your niche. So don't think it's just about the niche. You want to actually think about it more as like, what is my niche within my niche? So within my niche, where is the $100 segment within there? Allison, how's everyone reporting to their clients? We're considering reporting on the percentage of amount spent on ads in regards to total e-com revenue. Thoughts on this? Allison, this is something I'm really kind of passionate about. I'm not telling you how to run your ads or your reporting. I'm just saying the way most people do reporting sucks, and it leaves like a lot of clients feeling really kind of unhappy with the relationship. So I would not model what most agencies are doing. I would model what the most successful ones. And what I find to work the best is just to fire up Loom and like make a 2 to 5 minute video, tell the client, here's what we're doing, here's why we're doing it, here's how it's going, here's what you can expect next. You do that, clients will be super, super happy, because I've seen every measure of report, and it just ends up leaving clients confused, and confused clients don't know what they're paying for, and then they end up resenting you. So that's my thoughts. Rohan, how to learn direct response copywriting and marketing. This is a really good question, Rohan. My thoughts on this are, the best stuff is actually the copywriting books that are 100 years old, that haven't changed in 100 years. So like the more somebody was a legend and did it for a long time, like human nature, contrary to popular belief, has not changed in 100 years and will not change in 100 years more. So some of the old greats, the Claude Hopkins, less old, but anything David Ogilvy you can get your hand on. Eugene Schwartz, Breakthrough Advertising, is a great copywriting book. If you can read those books, anything newer that's Dan Kennedy or Jay Abraham, you can read those people, you're just going to get really, really good at this whole game. So I would suggest that. There's probably some good ones that I kind of left out, but those are my favorites. Is look at the 100-year-old classics, because those tend to have the best nuggets. Dennery, what's the number one business book which contribute a lot in growing your agency? Thanks so much in advance. I wish I could tell you it was just one book, Dennery. There's probably a good handful of them. I'll tell you a big breakthrough for me was a book called Essentialism. I'm not saying that was the only one. Essentialism. A lot of the Anything Marketing by Dan Kennedy was a huge, huge help. And then I guess for the mindset stuff, Neville Goddard was a favorite of mine, like just learning to visualize, and New Psycho-Cybernetics is a really good one for that as well, because if you can't see it, if you can't see yourself succeeding in your own mind in here, you're not going to like create it out there. So those ones I'd say are probably a good help. Maximilian, What's the number one thing you're looking for when hiring a media buyer? Max, I'm going to go give you a short answer because this is similar to the question earlier. Results, test them, figure out how you can best create results. So I look for a combination of past results combined with like actually testing on them. What would you do in this real client situation? Plus, just work together for a small period. See how you guys fit together. That's the best way you're going to find it. But those two things, can they produce results? Are we going to work well together? Hold on just a second. What website builder do most digital marketing agencies tend to use? There are many options, but which one is best for this industry? Rye. Depends really on what you're doing. I would say if what you're building is e-commerce, then like Shopify is just a no-brainer. Shopify should be number one on your list. If what you're doing instead is like a more service kind of based offering, like like a lot of local services are, and those kind of things, restaurants and dentists and all those kind of things, then WordPress. And then WordPress combination, some of the tools that can help make it easier are Elementor. A lot of people really like that. They use design, as well as Astra themes can make really pretty website themes without having to know a ton about design. But those are the two. Shopify if you're selling products, WordPress if you're not. There are other good stuff, but those are the two best you're going to get. Roman. I got a client that wants to promote manicure courses ranging from 1,000 to 3,000. She has a good follower base and reputation on Instagram. I was wondering if anyone has any ideas on how to promote or to approach promotion of such a service. In my mind, we should create Google search ads, Facebook conversion ads, and Facebook Instagram giveaway. Do you have any other ideas? Thanks in advance. Yeah, Roman, this is my idea, and it's different than what you're thinking. Yes, there's a lot of ways to promote that. But before you do all of those things, before you get in, because I know it sounds to you like cool, like they got a big following and it sounds like they're already set up to succeed. But is this course something people actually want? And there's only one real way to know that, which is to put the offer in front of them in the simplest and most effective way and see if people actually take out their credit card and buy it, or at least give you things that indicate they would be interested in, like, I'm interested, but, I have this question or whatever. And if you don't get those kind of things, then I would not take on that client. Because I'll tell you, this is a scenario that happens all the time. His client has been doing their business successfully for a while, but they get bored of it or they get tired of it and they want something new. So they come up with this idea, I'm going to have this new product, this new idea, this new service, this new course, this new training, this new offering. And I'm going to do that instead because it would be way more fun for all these other reasons. And what ends up happening is almost always that's an unproven idea. And so what ends up happening is you get brought on thinking that, it's a no-brainer, it's going to work, but then you have an offer that's not validated, and then you put it out in the market and spend a lot of money to find out it doesn't work, and you, the agency owner, get blamed. So I would devise, before I did any of that, a small test, and I would use the shortest, fastest path, which to me is the Instagram followers they already have, and see if the course will sell to the Instagram followers. So I might create like 3 to 5 posts about the course. If you don't sell it in 5 posts to their own following, then there is not a market for that course, and I wouldn't think about anything else. Now, having said that, say you put it out there and it works, then the sky is the limit. You can do Facebook ads, you can do Google, you can go to the forums where those people are, you can do joint ventures, you can do affiliates. Like, there's just so many ways you can promote it, but you have to know your numbers and that it's going to work. So make sure you stick with that before you get into hey, this new idea sounds cool, so I'm going to do it. Because I'll tell you, there's nothing worse than when you're an agency and you get brought in for something that you're convinced sounds cool, and then you put it in front of the market, and the market doesn't think it sounds as cool as you think it is, because maybe they've seen that idea so many times, or it's just not a pain point or a need that they have. And then you just end up looking stupid because you say, we're going to put it all over here and sell it, and we're going to create wins. And then ultimately you have to blame them for not giving you a product that was going to win in the first place. And that just never really goes super, super well. So I hope that's helpful to you guys. That's all the questions I got for today. I'm going to be adding some replays here to YouTube as well. Like I said, if you're interested in the mastermind, we've got a video. It has all the details and things like that, so you don't have to sign up for a sales call and all that. But you do got to watch a video. So if you're interested in that, let me send you some details. It's hot as balls here in Mexico, so I'm going to head into some air conditioning. And that's all I got for you guys this week. So may the force be with you.